Tonight on Elon Local News. Students displaced by the cracked floors in Crest are moving again.
It got to the point where it was very draining and it was hard work.
How the loss of a teammate has brought Elon Club baseball closer together.
We really do love each other, and when we say that we're family and we're brothers, we mean it.
And leaders of the civil rights movement right down the road.
Remembering what happened in the past can help us make a better future.
What Black history means to advocates today. All that and more. Elon Local News starts right now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at Elon University School of Communications, you're watching Elon Local News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Rachel Ellis.
And I'm Emily Harrison. We begin tonight with members of the Elon community are coming together after last Wednesday's shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Our Paula Blanc has more.
Students across campus are taking action 5 days after shots rang out at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida.
I was thinking about, the people there and the people in my county and, how close to home this was. It was weird because you never really think it'll happen where you're from.
Elon senior William Kahn is from Broward County, Florida, the same county where 17 students were shot Wednesday.
I was talking to the people from South Florida here who I know about it. And, I was saying that something should be done.
Elon class of 2017 alumna Tori Ford, who now lives in Washington, D.C., attended Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School before coming to Elon.
To see your hometown, your high school plastered all over the news, it definitely hits home.
Ford says while she won't be on campus, she's supportive of students gathering for change.
All we can do is reach out to one another, take further action, and do what we can from here to not let this happen again.
Tonight at 7:30, students from Broward County, Florida are coming together to plan a future event. While no plans have been confirmed, students are looking to make a lasting impact.
I want something that is more than thoughts and prayers, that does provide resources for action.
Associate Chaplain for Protestant Life Joel Harder is one of the faculty members helping students plan the event.
I think all of us in some ways have gotten too desensitized to these tragedies. They keep happening over and over again. So I'm really proud of our students.
Paula Blanc, Elon Local News.
In response to the shooting, Vice President of Student Life John Dooley sent an email to students about our own campus safety. Dooley recommends students download the LiveSafe app. And the town of Elon police say in the case of an active shooter, the best thing to do after notifying the police is to run. And if that's not possible, Lieutenant Jim Giannotti recommends finding a safe place nearby.
Lock that door, barricade that door, close your blinds, get into a corner, hunch down, cover up. If something happens and they come in the room, all I can say to you is don't be the person that just lays there.
Giannotti says that fighting should only be used as the last resort for defense.
In the aftermath of the shooting, the spotlight is back on gun laws. Survivors of the shootings have called out Florida's Republican Senator Marco Rubio for his ties to the largest gun lobby group in America, the National Rifle Association. However, the NRA's relationship with politicians stretches far beyond Florida.
And here in North Carolina, all 5 of the politicians who represent Elon on the state and federal level received an NRA candidate rating of 60% or more. These ratings are based on how candidates vote and if they support the same legislation that the NRA does.
When it comes to campaign donations, each of North Carolina's current U.S. senators received almost $10,000 the last time they ran for re-election. Congressman Mark Walker received $2,000 for his re-election back in 2016. However, most of the NRA spending is not directly given to the candidates.
The NRA runs policy-based campaigns supporting specific candidates. And during the 2014 campaign, the NRA spent a collective $4.4 million in trying to elect Senator Thom Tillis. In 2016, the NRA spent $6.3 million on trying to elect Senator Richard Burr.
We have reached out to all of these offices for comment, but so far we have gotten no response. Back on Elon's campus, freshman Drew Gentry says guns are not to blame.
Mass shootings in general, like Vegas and other school shootings, are horrible ideas, are horrible concepts and realities to people, but it's not the guns' fault in my sense. Like, yes, there needs to be stricter background checks, and I think there should be a psychological aspect of testing, not just the background.
Gentry suggests placing metal detectors in public places to help alleviate the problem.
After staying in the Best Western Plus Burlington for over a month, 37 Crest residents are being relocated both on and off campus. Our Cami Banky has more on where these students are going.
They're packing up and moving out. Residents were given an hour to retrieve their belongings from the damaged Crest 2020 apartment 1 month after campus police found a partial collapse in the ceiling between the first and second floor. They were able to return to the apartment for their possessions before moving into their new homes. Elon sophomore Magnus Karlstrom is unpacking his things at the Wayfair Apartments in Burlington. With open spaces and a balcony view, he says he's happy to be out of the hotel.
We had to be there, but it got to the point where it was very draining, and it was hard to work. We have fridge.
Karlstrom plans to have all of his belongings back by this week. He says the entire situation was out of his control.
A lot of it was just like things were supposed to happen and couldn't because of outside forces that we can't really handle.
The Crest property manager, the Price Company, says students were given the option to move to other available on-campus rooms, off-campus apartments, or the Wayfair apartment complex. In a statement to ENN, Price Company said, quote, students were given the option to make any choice they felt was most appropriate for their current situation. Karlstrom says he believes the Price Company handled the situation well.
I'm really appreciative of what they've done, and I think it's just nice to be in a space that I can call mine now.
While he may be a 10-minute drive from campus, Karlstrom says a permanent home is worth the distance.
It feels more personal. It feels like I'm home again.
Cami Banky, Elon Local News.
Price will continue to pay for transportation costs to and from campus, and all students will be out of the Best Western by Friday.
Today is the first day of voting for Student Government Association positions for the next school year. 34 candidates are running for 32 positions. Before the votes come in, we have the outgoing SGA Executive President, Morgan Bowden, live in the studio on one of the last days of her term to talk about the elections and her legacy. Morgan, welcome. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So in this year's election, there are 11 positions that are either uncontested or no one is running for them. Why do you think that is?
I think one of the things that we noticed last year when we had a lack of participation for all of the executive positions was that a lot of students weren't getting involved in SGA for various reasons, ranging anywhere from they didn't really know what SGA does, they don't know when elections are, they didn't want to do the signatures. So this year, I would say, for lack of a better term, SGA stepped up their game by limiting the positions, making sure that we had the SGA exec forum, just making sure students knew who was running, who was representing, things like that. So for me, I see it a little bit more as a win, considering all of the positions that were uncontested versus this year. So I don't think it would all happen overnight. So I do understand that having the positions uncontested isn't the best thing that could have happened, but I definitely believe it's an improvement for last year. And I think it's always going to be a struggle getting students to step out of their shell and run for these positions. But the more that I see these increase over the next couple of years, the happier that'll be.
Okay, Morgan, and what's kind of your hope for this next group of SGA officers?
I hope that they see a lot of what we did in terms of school spirit, civic engagement, inclusivity, and they build on that, but also have their own goals and dreams and aspirations along the way. I know after talking to a lot of outgoing SGA execs, it's hard because it feels like a new exec is starting over, but I really think that this incoming exec, whoever it will be, will do a lot of building on what's already been done during my term and terms before mine.
Well, thank you, Morgan. We really appreciate you taking the time
to
talk to us tonight. And you can vote in the SGA election on Phoenix Connect, and polls close tomorrow at 5 p.m.
After the break, how one team has transformed after the loss of a player.
And Love Your Body Week is looking a little bit different this year.
You're watching Elon Local News.
The Elon community still remembers and mourns the unexpected death of junior Breslin Wiley last October. Wiley was a member of Elon's club baseball team, a group with a renewed sense of brotherhood since the tragedy. Our Miles Garrett has the story.
Oh, yeah. And the club baseball team as a whole actually is more like a family. If anything else, we wanted everyone to know that we have each other's back, even after the passing, and just to know that we are always there for each other no matter what.
4 months ago, life was normal for the Elon Club baseball team, until tragedy struck with the passing of fellow teammate Breslin Wiley.
We kind of talked about just all the good times we had with Breslin and how those good times should just be remembered, and we shouldn't just be sitting here thinking of all the sad times.
Go to any practices during the week, and you'll see more than just baseball players hitting and catching on the field. You'll see friends and brothers just out there having fun.
This isn't practice, we're just having fun, we're all hanging out, this is how we get close. Definitely like without him here, like we're all much more drawn to come out, like be a part of it.
When Breslin Wiley was on the baseball field, his position would often be right here behind home plate as the catcher. But now the rest of his teammates in club baseball are looking to have him forever immortalized on this field.
We're going to retire his jersey. He wore #1 anytime he stepped on the field, and we feel like that's something small that we can do that would mean a lot both to him, to his family, and anybody that knew him.
Shortly after his death, the team created wristbands that commemorated Wiley with proceeds going to his family. They sold over 400, raising $650.
We made wristbands that we all wear, and a lot of our friends wear as well. You know, it's just a way that we can keep the memory of him with us all the time and show the support for him and his family.
Through tragedy, club baseball found triumph in each other, in knowing that they had each teammate's back no matter what.
It would be wrong of us to not show the love that we have for each other, and I think the difference between club baseball last year and this year is that we're all friends still, but we really do love each other, and when we say that we're family and we're brothers, we mean it.
Miles Garrett, Elon Local News.
3, 1, 2, 3, Elon.
The club baseball team is still selling wristbands dedicated to Wiley. They cost $1, but donations of any size are accepted and will be given to the Wiley family.
The flu has been hitting extra hard this year. According to the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, 165 people have died in North Carolina from the flu since October. This comes after last week's announcement from the CDC that the flu vaccine only prevents the virus a third of the time. Usually it's closer to half. Still, the CDC is encouraging anyone over the age of 6 months to get the vaccine to stop flu viruses from spreading.
And keeping wellness in mind, Elon Campus Recreation and Sparks co-sponsor Love Your Body Week every year. Our Grace Morris found out how the focus of the week has shifted this year.
From class to work to staying in shape, squeezing everything you need into one day can be challenging. Campus Recreation and Sparks are trying to help students stay healthy with this year's Love Your Body Week. Campus Rec Special Events team leader Jack Hartman says it's looking a bit different this year.
A lot of people think of campus recreation as just like going to the gym or playing sports, but really we're a lot more than that, and Love Your Body Week is here to promote that and boost that other part of mental health and mental well-being.
The events start today and are hosted all over campus. Campus Rec Assistant Director Jenny Larson believes Love Your Body Week is a good time to practice self-care as well as fitness.
We are always bustling and moving forward, that it's a good week to just kind of get back to who you are, knowing that what you do and everything, your body allows you to do that.
Hartman hopes that these events will encourage students to continue loving their bodies beyond this week.
We hope that it really starts this week, but then you can continue on through the end of the semester and into the next year and throughout your life.
And leave them feeling better about all aspects of themselves.
We hope that people just come out with a real good sense of confidence and boosted self-esteem.
But the most important thing about Love Your Body Week?
Loving who you are.
Grace Morris, Elon Local News.
The week kicks off with Lifting 101 and a ladies lifting class, where Corey Fitness Center will be closed for women only, but will reopen at 11 p.m. for everyone. A full list of events are posted on flyers around campus and are also listed on Campus Recreation's Facebook group.
We're now heading into the final weeks with President Leo Lambert in charge. After passing the torch to Dr. Connie Book on March 1st, he plans on taking a year-long sabbatical to write a book. Lambert says he looks forward to the change of pace.
Every day you come in and you throw yourself into the president's job, which is, very intense in one way. And then I think my new life on sabbatical is going to be a lot of reading, a lot of writing, a lot of thinking, very contemplative in a way.
The full story will be available on the front page of this week's edition of the Pendulum. And on that note, we have our enterprise manager, Anton Delgado, in the newsroom to talk more about what's in store for this week's paper. Anton?
Good evening, everyone. I'm here live in the ENN newsroom where staff members are currently putting together this week's issue of the Pendulum. Some of our top stories include an exit profile on President Lambert and what life at Elon will be like without him. We'll also be covering this week's SGA elections, the newest dining option for Elon, as well as have a feature on the Elon Jr. that was awarded the Leadership Prize and what he'll be doing with the money. So make sure to keep an eye out for the Pendulum that'll be hitting stands, tables, desks, and chairs near you. Back to you, Emily.
Thanks, Anton. Still ahead, the library is dusting off its archives, how their technology is changing with the times.
And are the clouds here to stay? Find out after the break.
You're watching Elon Local News.
You probably already know that February is Black History Month, but you might not know just down the road, Greensboro has been a leader of the civil rights movement. Greensboro is where a series of nonviolent sit-ins took place in the Woolworth department store in 1960. These sit-ins served as a catalyst for other civil rights movements throughout the South. Our Brooke Wavag traveled to the Greensboro History Museum to find some North Carolina residents celebrating the month.
Member of Greensboro's Retired Teachers Club, Lena Merle Chapman, has dedicated her life to advocating for equality.
We had some times that were not very easy times, so we organized so that we could come together and support each other to make sure that we could survive and that we were some of the best teachers you're going to find anywhere.
As a Black educator in the late 1900s, Merle Chapman is no stranger to adversity.
You have to prove that you're a good educator. You have to prove that you're an effective educator. You have to prove that you know what you're doing.
UNC Greensboro student Antaeus Faulkner is spending his weekend volunteering at the Black History Month event at the Greensboro History Museum,
which freed me from slavery and forever delivered me free.
Faulkner says taking part in events like these serve as an important reminder of the past.
We live and make history every day. So remembering what happened in the past can help us make a better future.
But Merle Chapman says change takes time.
I am more realistic, so I know that perfection comes at different levels. We're always going to continue to work on getting it right because our children deserve that.
For now, it's about learning to accept others.
Until we build respect for ourselves and in each other, we're going to always have an issue.
Merle Chapman says she teaches people to love themselves first, because when you love yourself, it's not as difficult to love others. Brooke Wavag, Elon Local News.
Merle Chapman says Black History Month is about more than just learning, but also about celebrating the culture. You can also celebrate and learn more about the culture at one of Greensboro's multiple history museums. And we have our Brian Ray live on Citroen Plaza. Emily, I hope he's staying warm because I was certainly a little bit chilly and wet on my way over here.
He better have layers on.
Yes.
It is cold outside.
Brian, tell us what's going on out there.
Thanks, Emily and Rachel. It's a little cold out here on Citroen Plaza, certainly different from the warm day we had yesterday. Today we had a high at around 58 and a low of 53, but it certainly does not feel like it's in the 50s out here. We've also had a slight drizzle on and off throughout the day today that actually just started picking up, thankfully. I had my raincoat on just in case. You should probably keep yours handy too, because looking ahead at the rest of our week, those clouds are here to stay. Moving into tomorrow and Wednesday, we're looking at highs at around 75 and a low at around 60 with cloudy skies. Moving into Thursday, that's when the rain is going to start with a high at around 74 and a low of 54 with those showers coming late in the day. And those showers are going to carry on into the early part of our weekend on Friday and Saturday. We're looking at a high in the low 70s and the mid 70s on both days and a low at around 60 with showers on and off throughout the day. So you want to keep your umbrella and your raincoat handy for the rest of the week, unfortunately. Emily and Rachel, back to you in the studio.
Thanks so much, Brian.
And it's out with the old and in with the new. Belk Library is getting rid of old VHS tapes to make way for new formats like DVDs and podcasts. It is a part of the new renovation to expand and digitize the library for the next academic year. Dean and University Librarian Joanne Ruel says the change is needed.
not a lot of people still have VHS players. So if there's content that's being used heavily, we're looking at, is it legal to move it to another format? Can we buy it in DVD format? Can we buy it in streaming format? And if that's content that people need, we'll just replace the VHS with another format. If it's something that no one is using and hasn't been used for a decade, we think it might be time to let it go from the collection.
The VHS tapes that weren't chosen will be given to Better World Books to be sold online. And a portion of the money will go back to the university for its literacy program. And Belk Library will start phasing out VHS tapes this semester.
In a moment, we'll meet the woman behind the chalk that decorates downtown Elon's pizza place.
We'll be right back.
You're watching Elon Local News.
Of all the signs on Elon's campus, one seems to stand out above the rest. Our Anton Delgado met the woman behind the chalk.
When walking down North Williamson Avenue, it's hard to decide where to eat, but a witty chalkboard brings customers through the doors of Pandora's Pies. The artist behind the chalkboard is Brittany Tillman, who's been working at Pandora's for almost 6 years. Creating the board is a task she decided to take on herself.
The funny thing is people here are not creative at all. They don't know how to write good, they don't know how to draw, and so me, the creative one, I take over the board.
Tillman uses a two-sided chalkboard and a variety of chalk colors to design the board. Depending on the weather and her creativity, Tillman usually changes the board every 2 days with a little help from the internet.
My handwriting is really good, but when it comes to drawing, I kind of have to look at Google or look at Pinterest and see what I could write, and that's where I get my ideas from.
But all this effort doesn't come without reward.
People take pictures of the sign all the time, which makes me feel really good, and then people stand by it, pose by it, take pictures of it, laugh at it. It's just so funny to see.
I think it's really cute. It's always really funny. They always have a little pun or a little cute message. It's really nice.
I appreciate an establishment that has a bit of a sense of humor.
But the laughs aren't the only benefit Tillman gets from designing the board.
I just like drawing. I like coloring. I've always liked to do that, so it's kind of like my therapy.
But there's a catch.
I really hate chalk.
And while the sign outside is what gets people to come in, it's the Pandora's Pizza that makes them stay. Anton Delgado, Elon Local News.
Wow, I am in just such awe of her. She is so talented. I can't even draw stick people.
She is, and she's the, she's the woman behind the magic. Every morning when I'm walking from my apartment to campus, I'm like, what's it gonna be today? And now we know.
Oh yes, oh yes.
And we are actually going to be looking into some of the study abroad plans for the spring. There have been some changes to, actually we're gonna go to This Week at Elon. Coming up this week at Elon, tomorrow the Black Innovations Matter panel will take place at the Isabella Cannon Room in the Center for the Arts, and panelists will speak about becoming an entrepreneur and the future innovation in the Black community. The event starts at 6 p.m. and is open for all students. The Elon baseball team will take on Radford University at home on Tuesday, with the game starting at 4 p.m. at Latham Park. And that's all the news we have for you tonight. We apologize for the technical difficulties. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and give us a like on Facebook.
And if you missed our broadcast tonight, you can always check us out on elonnewsnetwork.com.
Thank you, Elon.